Hi, this is Luke. Welcome to the Practisim Designer tutorial series. This video covers bay customization. So by default, the tool gives you a white bay. So you have a white concrete wall with a white floor and gray grids. You can very easily customize this to however you like. What you would do is you go over to the edit menu and select bay. In your customized bay UI, you see that you have on the left side, there are 3 wall presets that are available in the tool by default: square, narrow, and wide. So this is square, this is narrow, and this is wide. And you can create new ones by just hitting this to add a preset. So let's say I want to customize this wide one here, and then hit plus, and now I have my own customized preset. And as you can see, if I move around, you see that there's a front wall here blocking my stage design. I can go back to edit bay, and I can click on this to remove the front wall. So now I have this wall that is just a wide wall, depending on what your stage design requires. You can also change the wall texture. So I have a bunch of different textures here. Let's say red bricks, for instance, or maybe solid metal. Nobody has this, right? The most common would be hedge, probably dried grass or concrete, and these are all just square walls that you like to simplify your stage design. And so let's say I go with hedge, and then you can select your ground texture as well. You can do grass with grid. This is really nice looking. You can do a blue grid, or prefer sandy soil, or maybe grass with no grids, gravel and dirt, concrete, so on and so forth. So there are multiple different types of textures that you can use. You can also reset the dimensions of your bay by writing them here. So right now it's 30 meters by 15 meters. If I want to make this a small square 15 by 15, all I have to do is just change this to 15 meters. And you hit enter, and now you have the square bay. And you see that the bay will move from the top left corner. And so in order to then move all your props to inside the bay, there's a very handy way to do it, which is to select all. And to select all, you just hit Shift L. You can then select any prop here and move your whole entire group over to that side, and now you have your bay modified. What else can you do in your bay? You can also manually change the control points for your bay design. So right now it's square, and let's say if my bay is a weird looking A shape, right? And so I can move all these control points, and as you move this control point, you see that the design of the bay changes in real time. So you can click and drag, and now I have a bay design that looks something like that, right? And now if you apply, if you look from the top, it looks like what I've designed in the customized bay feature. This is cool, right? But if you don't like to use this bay and you prefer to use like an old SketchUp style berm maybe, then what you do is you can go over to bay and just choose the hidden option, and now you hide the walls and you just have a flat floor. And then in the prop menu there is a berms and ground feature where you can use simple berms like this. So let's say I have a gravel berm I can drop down. I can clone this, I can rotate it around and place it at the back maybe, like that, and then clone that and then rotate it around and place it here. So I can easily customize the bay like this, or even choose different floor colors if you want. I prefer this kind of grass, for instance. Let me raise it up. I can do that as well. So you have many different options of customizing your bay. One of the more advanced features of the customized bay is what we call scan bays. So if you go over to bay, you have this thing called scan bays, or what we use is the system uses an advanced LiDAR capability, where if you use any LiDAR device, most of the new phones like the iPhone 14 Pros, 15, 16 Pros, and some modern Android phones that have LiDAR capabilities, you can use that to scan an actual bay and use that scan bay as a bay in your bay design. And so if you want to use this, you can click on this, and in the system the tool already comes with many different scan bays for different clubs around the area and perhaps somewhere close to your area. So for instance, in the Pacific Northwest we have the Paul Bunyan Club, the Renton Club, Inner Lake, Barrisville, and so forth. And the one that I shoot most often is the Renton and Paul Bunyan. So let's say if I select Paul Bunyan, this is bay 1. You have 10 bays at the club. You can select whichever bay you want to design for. Let's say bay 3. But bay 3 is pretty narrow. Let's do a bay 5, which is pretty wide. and then I click OK. So now you have this scan bay, which I actually went and scanned with my LiDAR with my phone, and I put it in the tool to make it more accurate. And now again, as I mentioned to you, everything's moved, so I just do Shift L, select all, and then I just move my design into the middle of the bay, and there you go. This is very handy when you're trying to design a stage design that will try to fit into your bay. There was one occasion at Renton where we were trying to fit one of the new classifiers, but we didn't know if we would fit, and we were trying to find the correct orientation for the stage in order to fit. And we actually did it in the tool by using the scan bay feature, and we managed to replicate it in real life when we went to the club to construct the bay, which is pretty cool. It looks really nice too, right? So you can see that this is if you're ever at the club, you see that this is how the bay looks like. So that is the customize and scan bay feature. There is a way for you to extend this. So right now, if you want to add bays in here, you have to contact me, and I would work with you to put the bays into the system. There is a way for you to do it yourself, but it is more complicated. And if you look into one of the folders, the scan bay folder in the Steam application folder, it contains instructions for how you do that. So if you're more technically inclined, I would suggest you go take a look at that. If not, let me know. Contact me at look@ancientskygames.com, and I will help you put some of this bays into the tool where everybody can then use. Yeah, so there's a variety of different types of bays that have been scanned. The other thing that's associated to the bays is the environment. So right now, if you look up the sky, you see that this is a partially cloudy day. If you go over to the environment, you can then change the time of day. You can animate the sky. You can change the day cycle. How quickly does the day happen, right? Like in this case, it's the day will become night after 30 minutes if your animate sky is turned on. So for instance, animate sky, you can see that the sky is actually moving. I can change this to maybe 5 o'clock in the evening. You see that now we have very beautiful golden hour kind of lighting, if you like. You can enable features like light shafts, lens flares, shadows, disable them. You can also change the dynamic weather. So for instance, if I do rain, and now you see that there's rain and your floor will get wet, stuff like that will get wet as well. You can also change to snow, and then the snow will build up on your props eventually after a while. And let's go back to partly cloudy. If you are designing stages for indoor, you don't need all this environment effects. You can just select the two different settings. If you want bright indoor, super bright here, or maybe a warehouse look and feel, and everything's much more toned down, more consistent across the board. If you don't like to use effects, you can just one button click, turn it all off, right? And that way you can just design it with a white background, no shadows, no effects, nothing. I like to play around environments because that makes everything looks very nice. You can also go and switch this to a nighttime. So for instance, maybe 2200 hours, and now you have night like this. And what's really cool is there are some props that have lights as well. And so where are they? Like this one, for instance. This has lights that you can put on the ground. This will react according to whatever color the light is. So I can just change the color of the light to maybe red. And so then you see this really cool effect. So this is really handy for some of you who are designing night stages. You can do this in the Practisim Designer tool. So that's it for bay and environment.